Hello, everybody. We got ourselves another one of those other ones. This is Repeated Killers in the Shy Part 2 by the man, myth, the legend of Drillmatic 101. I love this guy's shit, right? Anyway, let's keep it going. Repeated Killers in the Shy Part 2. Eugene Rooney. Fucking looks like a goddamn child molester. Real shit. In 1969, Rooney was convicted of murder and was given a 20 to 30 year prison term and was paroled in 82. Okay, wait a minute. Now 79, so that's 10 years. 80, 81. So he served 13 years of a 20 to 30 year sentence. They got a justice system in Cook County. it's a system, all right. Then in January '88, he beat and stabbed a man named Stephen Edwards to death inside Stephen's basement and left his corpse behind at the Jewel Food Store at 3552 West Grand. I'm sorry. He was later arrested and charged with Stephen's murder and sentenced to life without parole, which he should have fucking got the first time. RIP to the unnamed person killed in the 60s. No picture of Stephen Edwards. Alvaro Elizondo. On Christmas Day in '86, he punched and stabbed his victim to death. He was sentenced to 7 years and did half. Man punched and stabbed the motherfucker to death and did 4.5 years. On July 4th, 2013, he came home intoxicated at a family barbecue where he called his sister a drunk and a whore and charged at her in the front yard after he kicked the kiddie pool she was trying to put away. Once his sister's boyfriend, 41-year-old Juan Zavala, tried to step in and protect her from him, he punched Zavala in the face, causing Zavala to hit his head on the pavement. Ooh. He continued chasing his sister in the front yard. Okay. But when he saw his elderly mother tending to Zavala on the sidewalk, he came back and pushed his mother, causing her to fall on her head and injure her back and wrist. This guy's just a wonderful individual. No wonder they let him out so fucking early. He then went back over to Zavala, got on top of him, and repeatedly punched the unconscious man in the face. Both his mother and sister begged him to stop, but he allegedly refused until his sister threw bleach in his face. That's one way to do it, I suppose. I hope they give him a better term this time. What the fuck? Angry at his sister's actions, Alvaro threw a barbecue grill at her, lacerating her wrist before fleeing. Zavala, who suffered a broken vertebra, bleeding and swelling into his brain, was taken to the hospital after neighbors called 911 and flagged an officer. Alvaro was arrested when he arrived home a short time later. He was initially held on $500,000 bail on aggravated domestic battery and attempted murder charges. Let me guess, Zavala dies and it gets upgraded. The charges were upgraded to first-degree murder after Zavala died from his injuries 16 days later. On May 2016, he was sentenced to 24 years in prison and is scheduled for release on Christmas Eve 2027. What the fuck? What does it take to get some of these people to be put away forever? Seriously, what the fuck do you have to do? RP to the unnamed person killed on Christmas Day in '86. There's no picture on Juan Zavala. I imagine he's not going to have a well, I imagine Elizondo is not going to have any family to go back to, so... Oh, he's going to be very safe when they let him out next year. Timothy Barber. In '93, Timothy Barber was convicted and sentenced to 20 years in prison after he pled guilty in connection with a murder for which he was originally charged in '88. Okay. August 30, 2013, his son... Wait a minute, what? 2013, his son got into a fist fight with a man named Lamont Larkins Jr. over Lamont allegedly cheating in the game. Right? What game were they playing? I have no idea. Maybe basketball, maybe craps. Well, I hear it's pretty easy to cheat on craps. You bring crooks over, crooked dice. After the fight was broken up, Timothy then pulled out a knife and stabbed Larkins Jr. in the arm, back, and face with the knife puncturing his chest. Yeah, Larkins is fucking dead. 1 month later, he was arrested and charged with first-degree murder. In 26, he was sentenced to 27. Again, what the fuck do you need to do to get life? Do you need to put the motherfucker in the wood chipper? RP to the unnamed person killed in the '80s. Lamont Scooter Larkins Jr. Andre Davis. August 8th, a 3-year-old girl named Brianna Stickle was abducted from her front yard and brought into a house where she was raped and smothered to death, and this motherfucker didn't get life for that? Andre Davis, who was 19 years old at the time, was arrested and sentenced to 80 years in prison for Brianna's murder. But in 2008, DNA linked a man by the name of Maurice Tucker to Brianna's murder. But Andre wasn't exonerated until July 2012. Okay, so he didn't do the first murder. Okay. 15 months after being free from prison, he and his nephew both shot and stabbed Jamal Harmon at a party over a dice game. He and his nephew were both arrested 8 months after Jamal's death. Andre was sentenced to 15 years in prison and will be released in the year 2029. Bro, you get arrested and do time for a horrific crime that you didn't commit. And the first thing you do is, like, actually do something horrible? What sense does that make? Brianna Stickle. Jamal J.J. Harmon. Arthur Hilliard. On February 28, 2017, Arthur Hilliard and his then girlfriend, Diamond Turner, went to his Grand Crossing apartment after leaving the club where they were drinking with 3 others who lived there. Ooh. Wait a minute, what? They were at the club and then they came home to drink some more. Nothing bad ever happens after that. Later, one witness said he saw Diamond in Arthur's bed while Arthur was still in the living room. The witness asked her what was wrong, and she said she was annoyed with Arthur. Later, another witness saw drops of blood in the hallway and kitchen, along with a missing bucket from the bathroom. Arthur told the witness that the blood was from a cut on his leg, but did not show anyone that he killed the bitch, didn't he? As one witness cleaned the floor, Arthur told the others Diamond left the apartment, but her jacket and shoes from the night before were still in the apartment, although none of the witnesses saw or heard her leave that night or the next morning. That's when she was reported missing. Oh yeah, this guy sucks at this, man. You're gonna keep the jacket and the shoes. You don't think nobody's gonna ask questions? Fuck on, bro. 2 days later, her body was found by sanitation workers, partially naked and face down in a garage in a garbage can in the alley behind Arthur's apartment. An autopsy showed she was killed by blunt force trauma and asphyxia, a ruled homicide by the Cook County Medical Examiner's Office. The next day, he was confronted by Diamond's family, and police were notified. Diamond's blood was found on the floorboard in his room. He was never charged. What? What? The body. Let me get this straight. He has the jacket, the shoes, the body's in a goddamn garbage can behind his house, and they find the girl's blood on the floorboards, and they don't even. No wonder Chicago's a fucking shithole. On August 31st, 2018, a man by the name of Andra Williams was stabbed 8 times, 4 in the neck and head area, and 4 in the abdomen on the near west side. Arthur was captured on surveillance video pulling a shopping cart that contained Williams' body from his garage to 701 South Campbell Avenue. Andrew Williams, who was in a wheelchair, had been in an argument over money with Arthur 2 weeks prior to his murder. Arthur was charged with concealment of a homicide in September in that case and ultimately pled guilty, receiving 30. Oh, fucking hell. In January 2020, after DNA results from Diamond's murder returned, Arthur was finally fucking arrested and charged with first-degree murder. You think it took long enough? Boy, they better have convicted his ass. That's all I'm saying. Sum it all up, Arthur had beaten Diamond with a hammer and strangled her to death.
A major breakthrough in a 3-year-old murder mystery. DNA evidence that has taken years to process finally points to a man. This man, that man, that being the victim, now behind bars without bond. CBS 2 investigator Pam Zekman has his arrest and renewed police efforts to track a possible serial killer.
Okay, I'm not familiar with DNA technology. I'm not really familiar with all the science. Does it really take that fucking long to get results back? Like it seems like it wouldn't be a week maybe, but 2-3 years. What the fuck?
Arthur Hilliard was charged today with killing 21-year-old Diamond Turner, a woman he dated.
The victim's body was found by sanitation employees, partially naked and face down in a City of Chicago garbage can in the alley behind the defendant's apartment.
Her family believed evidence found at the scene and witnesses pointed to Hilliard as her killer.
It's been 3 long years for me, my sister, my whole family. So I'm glad he's in jail and he's gonna get what he deserves.
Diamond was among more than 50 women the CBS 2 investigators previously reported on with similar cases, leading an expert to believe there was 1 or more serial killers loose in the city.
50. How many motherfuckers do you think this dude killed in the 3 years that they were waiting for this shit? God damn.
However, unlike many of those cases, Diamond had no history of prostitution arrests. A police spokesman says that charges leading to Hilliard's arrest were held up more than a year because of delays in getting the results of DNA testing from the state. The spokesman says DNA gathered in the other unsolved cases we reported on will now be rechecked to see if Hilliard's DNA was found in any of them. Hilliard does have a criminal history.
Yeah?
Recently, he was convicted of concealing a homicidal death after a stabbing incident. He served 29 days in prison for that conviction. He was also previously charged in 6 misdemeanor assault or battery cases, but all of those were dropped. The sister of Andra Williams, the stabbing victim, believes her brother would be alive today if Hilliard had been arrested more quickly in Diamond's case.
My brother was in a wheelchair, couldn't run, skip, jump, or hop. And he murdered my brother and left him in the alley in a shopping cart.
The
Yeah?
state's attorney's office says a third murder case involving Hilliard is also under investigation. A state police spokeswoman says their lab sent their latest evidence report in the Diamond Turner case to Chicago police almost a year ago. So, Brad and Erica, we have 2 police agencies blaming each other for the delays in that case.
He remains in Cook County, but you know what I'm doing. Arthur Hilliard. Oh yeah, we're definitely looking at this motherfucker. Arthur Hilliard. Ah, there it is. Let's see what ABC7 Chicago has to say. Piece of shit.
Learned a man charged in the murder of 2 people has been found guilty on all charges. Arthur Hilliard is accused of killing 21-year-old Diamond Turner. Police say Turner was found dead in an alley in March 2017. Nearly 3 years after the murder, CPD says DNA evidence led to Hilliard's arrest. Cook County prosecutors also linked him to the stabbing murder of another person in 2019. Yesterday, a jury found him guilty on all 3 counts he was charged with. Hilliard will be back in court later this month for post-trial motions.
Curb the blood supply crisis.
So, what was he had to? Oh, this was only last year, so. Oh yeah, this was December 7th. So it's probably still going through the system. You better not get a light sentence this fucking time. That's all I'm saying. Diamond Turner. Andrew Williams. R.I.P. to the unnamed person. Alright, yeah, we're not doing 3 right now. Actually, what the hell? It's a small video so far. Yeah, well, let's go into part 3. Fuck it. Let's do it. Curtis Shields. Well, looking on his profile on IDOC, it shows that he was convicted of murder in '96. I couldn't find any information on that. But on June 7, 2006, he and his younger brother chased down 22-year-old Marty Williams and 36-year-old Darren Hawkins and beat them both to death with a baseball bat, along with their fists of feet. He's currently serving a life sentence for both murders. Bye-bye, bitch. RIP to the unidentified person Curtis Shields was convicted of murder for in '96. There's no pictures of Marty Williams or Darren Harkins. James Ely. On August 16, 1982, while out on bond for a rape charge at the age of 17, James Ely went home and killed a pregnant woman, her 2 children, and her... God. Jesus. That's... Jesus. A rape? 3 murders. The victims killed were Christine Parker, 33, who was pregnant, her 2 teenage daughters, Marianne Parker, 15, who James had been and he was dating a kid. Laura Parker, 12, and Mary Ann's son, Jonte Parker, 3. They were all strangled to... Throw his ass under the jail, please. In 84, he was convicted on all charges and sentenced to life. But on November 6, 87, all murder charges were dropped because an appellate court threw out most of the... He got out on a technicality. How unfortunate. He was still sentenced to 23 years for the rape charge and was released from prison in 93. But on November 27, 2006, James Ely, who was formerly employed at a Burger King in Lindenhurst, decided to rob that exact Burger King by killing Mary Hutchinson, who was his former boss, as she was preparing for opening. He stabbed her in the neck with a screwdriver and strangled her with her uniform bow tie until she died, leaving her in a pool of blood. He made off with at least $1,000. All that over a rack. Threw your life away for nothing. You got lucky, homie. You got lucky that the appellate court looked on your ass and decided to give you a nice little pat, a nice little mulligan. They gave you a mulligan for killing 3 people, and you kill somebody else. On October 2013, he was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole for Mrs. Hutchinson's death. And the appellate court better not give him another fucking... The cops have better have done a good job this time. There's no pictures on the Parker family. Mary Hutchinson. Malvin Washington, another one who kind of looks like a child molester. On October 30, 1990, while on parole for robbery, Malvin Washington was accused of approaching Jose Ortiz, 24, and his girlfriend Maria Colon, 23, as they sat in a vehicle, firing several shots and fleeing. They were found dead in their vehicle parked in 1600 block of North Claremont Avenue. In September 1992, he was acquitted of the murders. Psst, a lot of lucky motherfuckers. But on January 30, 2007, he broke into an apartment in the 1000 block, the 1000 block on North Springfield Ave, and killed both Jacqueline Lemons, 52, and Jesse Brown, 65, during a robbery attempt. All around piece. Both victims were beaten with a shovel and stabbed multiple times with a knife. Damn. I hope that warrants a goddamn life sentence. That is some serious cruelty. He's currently serving a life sentence for both murders. That better be without parole. There's no pictures of Jose Ortiz or Maria Colon. No pictures on Jesse Brown or Jacqueline Lemons. Mila Petrov. Oh, this bitch looks all kinds of butch. Although she wasn't arrested or charged with killing her baby named Anita by throwing her during an argument in 95, this ugly piece of shit, who was featured in my horrific gruesome deaths in Chicago Part 29, killed her 5-year-old daughter, Millie Beltran, after years of torturing her. Fucking hell. What makes this story more sick is she gave birth to her 9th child the very next day, which was also when Melanie was taken off life support. On March 14th, 2020, 2007. She is currently serving 39 years from Ellie's death. R.I.P. to baby Anita. Melanie Beltran. Christian Williams. On April 30th, 93, Christian Williams, who suffered from schizophrenia, stabbed Steven Sucher in the neck while at a party without any reason. A witness in the case left the party and returned later to find the victim dead, bleeding from stab wounds. Christian went after the witness with a knife, but the witness was able to overpower him. He was convicted and sentenced to 30 years in that case. He was released in March 2013. Less than 2 years after he was released from prison on October 28th, 2014, Christian allowed 53-year-old Thomas Sanchez Jr. into his home he was renting. Without offering any motive for the crime, Christian turned on Sanchez Jr., grabbed the knife, and plunged it into his neck. Homeboy likes to stab people with not... Homeboy loves to stab people, bro. Sanchez Jr. was found at the home by police. Christian admitted to stabbing him. He's currently serving a life sentence for the death of Thomas Sanchez Jr. No picture of Steven Sucher. No picture of Thomas Sanchez Jr. Oh, that was a showing. All right, I'm gonna leave it here. I hesitate to call this fun, but it was certainly interesting. Again, shout out to the boy Drillmatic 101. Wonderful video as always. Be sure to let me know what you think in the comments, and as always, God bless you.